Hi, today we're going to be learning how to solve word problems that result in quadratic equations. First, let's quickly go through the process that we need to follow when we solve word problems, just to remind you what we need to do. So the first thing we have to do is express the unknown values in terms of x. So you read the problem carefully and determine what you're being asked to work out, and then you make the unknown value x. You write down let whatever it is be x. And if the word problem contains more than one unknown value, we usually make the one that we need to work out x. An exception is when one value is a fraction of the other or a multiple of the other, then we can sometimes avoid working with fractions by making the smaller value x. And then we need to write any other unknown values in terms of x as well. So it could be x plus 2 or 2x, etc. Okay, once you've written your unknown values in terms of x, your next step is to go and set up an equation and solve it. Okay, so we need to make an equation that you can solve to find x using the information in the word problem. And then once you've set up your equation, you need to actually go and solve it and work out what x is equal to. Once you've set up and solved your equation, you need to then go back and answer the question. So when giving your answer, you need to be sure to actually answer the question that was asked. You can't just give your answer as a number or leave it as x equals something. You have to go back and put it into the context of the question to actually answer the question that was asked. Okay, so let's go and have a look at our first example for today. In this example, you've been told that the length of a rectangle is 5 meters more than its width. If the area is 84 meters squared, we need to find the dimensions. Okay, so let's go and have a look at how we would solve this problem. Okay, so first of all, I need to write down my unknown values in terms of x. Now, in this case, I haven't been asked to just work out the length or just work out the width. I've been asked to work out the dimensions, which is both the length and the width. So it doesn't really matter which one I make x, as long as I make the other one in terms of x and I do it correctly. So I'm going to make the length x. And so then I can say, therefore, the width is, so I've made the length x. Now I'm going to write the width in terms of x. So they told me that the length is 5 meters more than the width. So if the length is 5 more than the width, then the width must be 5 meters less than the length. So if the length is x, then the width must be x minus 5. Now, we could have done it the other way around. We could have made the width x, and then the length would be x plus 5. So either way is fine. Okay, so once I've got my length and my width in terms of x, the next thing I need to do is go and set up an equation. Now, there's a piece of information in the word problem that I haven't used yet, and that's the area. They told me that the area is 84 meters squared. So now we need to use what we know about the area of a rectangle. The formula for the area of a rectangle is area equals length times breadth. Okay. Once I've got my formula, I can then go and put in what I know. So I know that the area is 84. The length, I made x over here. And then the breadth is x minus 5. Now, when I put this in, I have to make sure that I put it in brackets. So it's x times x minus 5. If you don't put it in brackets, you're going to have a problem, because you're just going to end up multiplying x by x, and you won't end up multiplying by that minus 5. So you have to put the x minus 5 in brackets. Right, once we've got our equation set up, we need to go and solve it. Now, in order to solve this, the first thing I have to do is multiply out these brackets. So I have 84 equals, then I multiply the x in here. That gives me x times x is x squared. X times negative 5 is minus 5x. Okay, now this equation is a quadratic equation. I can recognize that by the fact that it has an x squared, which isn't going to cancel out with any other x squareds in the equation. So because it's a quadratic equation, I'm now going to move everything to one side and make it all equal to 0. Now, normally I would move my terms to the left and have 0 on the right, but I don't have to do it that way. I can move the terms to the right and have 0 on the left. And that's what I'm going to do in this one, because my x squared is already on the right and it's positive. So I'm going to keep it on the right so it stays positive. So I'm going to have on the left 0, and then that's equal to x squared minus 5x, and then this 84 I'm going to get rid of by subtracting 84 on both sides. So that gives me minus 84. Okay, so now I've got my trinomial that I'm going to go and factorize. Now I need to go and put in my two sets of brackets. The first term in each bracket is going to be x, and then I need my factors of 84. Okay, so the factors of 84 are going to be 1 times 84, 2 times 42, 3 times 28, 4 times 21, 6 times 14, and 7 times 12. Okay, so those are all the factor pairs of 84. Now I need to choose the pair that I can subtract to get 5. And the pair that I can subtract to get 5 is this one over here, 7 times 12. Okay, so I'm going to have 7 over there and 12 over there. Now we can go and put in our signs. Now because this is a negative, the two signs are going to be different, and the bigger number over here is going to get the sign of the middle term. So that's going to be minus over there, and this will be a plus over there. Now I've got 0 equal to a factor multiplied by a factor. Now remember, when we have factors that are being multiplied together and they give us 0, that means that at least one of them had to be 0 to start with. So I can say, therefore x plus 7 must be equal to 0, or x minus 12 must be equal to 0. In order for me to get 0 when I multiply those two factors together, I have to have started with 0 with at least one of them in the first place. Okay, so now I can go and solve for x. So therefore, x is equal to negative 7, or x is equal to 12. Okay, so now that I've got my x values, what I need to go and do is check if they actually make sense. So remember, we are looking to work out the length and the width of this rectangle. Now, length cannot be a negative number, so I can reject this solution over here because length can't be negative. Okay, so then that means that x is only 12. X can't be negative 7. Okay, x can only be 12. So now what I'm going to say is, because x is 12, I can then go and say that that is going to be my length. So the length is 12 meters, and then my width is x minus 5. So the width is 12 minus 5, which is 7 meters. So that's what you should get for that question, that the length is 12 meters and the width is 7 meters. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a few that you're going to do for yourself. Here's the first one that you're going to do. We've got question A, the sum of a natural number and its square is 56. And we need to find the number. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to solve this word problem. Okay, so let's go through that question and see what you should have got. Right, so the first thing we had to do over here is write down the unknown in terms of x. So they say that we need to find the number. So we're going to say let the number be x. Okay, I don't need to write down any other unknown in terms of x because the only unknown really is the number. So now I can go straight ahead and set up my equation. So it says the sum of a natural number and its square is 56. So remember, sum means adding. Okay, so the sum of a natural number, which is x, and its square, so I'm going to add x squared, and they tell us that that is 56. So that's equal to 56 like that. So I've got x plus x squared equal to 56. So now I'm going to go and solve my equation. I want to write everything on the one side equal to 0 on the other side. And I need to make sure that all my terms are in the correct order. So I'm going to have my x squared term first. So x squared, then plus x, and then I'm going to have minus 56. And that's all equal to 0. So now I need to go and find my factors of 56. So the factors of 56 are going to be 1 times 56, 2 times 28, 4 times 14, and 7 times 8. Okay, so now I need a pair that I can subtract to get 1, because this is 1x over here. So I'm going to be using the 7 and 8, which I can subtract to get 1. Okay, so over here, I've got my brackets equal to 0. The first term in each bracket is going to be x, and then I'm going to have 7 and 8. Then the bigger one is going to get the sign of the middle term, because this is a minus over here, so they get different signs. So the 8 is going to be positive, and the 7 is going to be negative. So now I can say, therefore, x minus 7 must be equal to 0, or x plus 8 must be equal to 0, and then I can solve for x. So therefore, x is equal to 7, or x is equal to negative 8. Okay. Now that I've done that, I need to go back to the question. They say that the sum of a natural number and its square is 56. Now, the natural numbers are only positive. Okay, that means I cannot have negative 8 as my solution. It's not going to work. So I can reject that solution, and I can just use the x equals 7. So therefore, the number is 7. So you need to go back and answer the question and say, therefore, the number is 7. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Right, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to solve this problem as well. Okay, so let's go through that question and see what you should have got. Okay, so first of all, they told us that the girl is twice as old as her brother, and we need to find the girl's age. Now, normally we would make the girl's age x because that's the one we want to work out. But in this case, she is twice as old as her brother. And remember I said when you have one value that is a multiple or a fraction of the other value, it's better to make the smaller one x so that you can avoid fractions. So over here, I'm going to make the brother x because his age is less than her age. Because otherwise, if I make her x, then he's going to be half x, and then I have to worry about fractions, and I don't like to worry about fractions unnecessarily. So I'll rather make the brother's age x, so the girl's age will be 2x, and then I don't have to worry about fractions. So I'm going to say over here, for question B, let the brother's age be x. Okay, so therefore, the girl's age is, now they said that she is twice as old as her brother, so it's going to be 2x. 2 times x is 2x. Okay, so that's their ages now. Then they say in 10 years, the product of the ages will be 168. So when I'm working out what my equation is going to be, I'm going to be working with what the ages are in 10 years. Now, how do we work out somebody's age in 10 years? We take their age and we add 10. Okay, so if you want to know how old you're going to be in 10 years, you take your own age and you add 10. So that's what we're going to do with their ages. To work out how old they're going to be in 10 years, we add 10. So over here, this is how old they are now. So in 10 years, the brother will be x plus 10, and the girl will be 2x plus 10. So these are the ages that I'm going to be working with when I work with their product being 168, because it says in 10 years, the product of the ages will be 168. Now remember, product means multiplication. So I'm going to be multiplying their ages in 10 years time, which is the x plus 10 and the 2x plus 10. So x plus 10 times 2x plus 10, remember we need to put those in brackets. When I multiply those together, that will give me 168. So the product of the ages in 10 years time, those are the ages in 10 years time, so the product of those ages is 168. Okay, now we're going to go and solve this equation. So the first thing I have to do is multiply out these brackets. So x times 2x is 2x squared. X times 10 is plus 10x. 10 times 2x is plus 20x. And 10 times 10 is plus 100. And that's equal to 168. Okay, so now I don't have any brackets. My next step is to move everything to one side, so I have 0 on the other side, and write it in the correct order. So I want my x squared term first. So I've got 2x squared over here. Then I've got plus 10x plus 20x, that gives me plus 30x. Then plus 100 minus 168 is going to be minus 68, and that's equal to 0. Now I'm going to go and, before I can factorize my trinomial, I want to get rid of this 2 over here. And to do that, if you check all of these terms, they're all multiples of 2. Now, because they're all multiples of 2, I can take 2 out as a common factor, but because this is an equation and 2 doesn't include x, I can just divide every term in the equation by 2 and just cancel it out. So I've got 2x squared divided by 2 is x squared. Then 30 divided by 2 is 15, so that's plus 15x. And then minus 68 divided by 2 is minus 34, and that is equal to 0. So now I've got my trinomial. Now remember, if your common factor had included x, you would have to write the x outside here. So that common factor which includes x, you'd have to write outside and put this in brackets. But because the common factor doesn't include x, I can just divide all the terms by the 2. Okay, now I'm going to go and factorize my trinomial. So I have 2 sets of brackets equal to 0 with x in each bracket, and then I want the factors of 34. So I've got 1 times 34 and and I've got 2 times 17. And I need to be able to subtract the factors to get 15. The pair that I'm going to be using is the 2 times 17 over here. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 in the one bracket and 17 in the other bracket. And the bigger one is going to get the sign of the middle term. So the 17 is going to be positive and the 2 is going to be negative. They get different signs because that's a minus over there. Now I can go and put each of those factors equal to 0. So I've got x minus 2 equal to 0, or x minus 17, x plus 17 equal to 0. Now I can go and solve for x. So therefore, x is equal to 2, or x is equal to negative 17. Now again, I need to check if either of these can be rejected. Okay, so let's just see what x is supposed to represent. X is supposed to be somebody's age. Now, you can't have a negative age, which means I'm going to reject this solution over there because x can't be negative 17 because you can't have a negative age. Okay, so that means I'm only going to be using the 2 over here. So now I'm going to say, therefore, if x is 2 and x is the brother's age, I can work out the girl's age and say that because she is 2x, then I can multiply 2 by 2 and that will give me the girl's age. So therefore, the girl's age is 4 years old. Okay, so that's what you should have got for question B. Right, let's go on to question C. In question C, you've been told that the product of two consecutive integers is 132, and we need to find the numbers. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to solve this problem as well. Okay, so let's go through that question and see what you should have got. Right, so first of all, in this question, they've told us that the product of two consecutive integers is 132. Now, there are a few words here that you need to make sure that you know the meaning of. First of all, we know that product means multiplication. Then integers, you should know, are positive and negative numbers, not including fractions. And then consecutive means right next to each other. Okay, so your consecutive integers could be numbers like 3 and 4, or there could be numbers like 99 and 100, or it could be numbers like -9 and -8. Okay, so numbers that are directly after each other, and because it's integers, they are 1 apart. Okay, so 3 and 4, you add 1 to get from the 3 to the 4. Okay, so that you need to know all of that in order to be able to solve this problem. So we're going to start off now for question C by writing down each number in terms of x. I'm going to say, let the first number be x, and therefore the second number is going to be x plus 1, and that's because the numbers are consecutive. Okay, and because they're integers, there is only 1 in between each of the consecutive numbers. So I add 1 to get to the next number. Okay, so my first number is x, my second number is x plus 1. Now I can go and set up my equation using what the other stuff that they've told me. So they told me that the product of these two numbers, so that means I need to multiply them together, is 132. So I need to have x times x plus 1, that's the product, and that's equals 132. So I've got x times x plus 1 in brackets equal to 132. Remember, we have to put the x plus 1 in brackets. Now I need to go and multiply out. So I've got x times x is x squared, x times 1 is plus x, that's equal to 132. Now I'm going to get everything on one side equal to 0. So x squared plus x minus 132 equals 0. Now I need my factors of 132. So that's going to be 1 times 132, 2 times 66, 3 times 44, 4 times 33, 6 times 22, and 11 times 12. So those are my factors of 132. Now I need the factor pair that I can subtract to get 1. So that's going to be 11 and 12 over here, because 12 minus 11 gives me 1, because this is 1x, so I need to get 1. Okay, so now I'm going to put down my two brackets equal to 0. So I've got x in each bracket, then 11 and 12 in the two brackets like that. Now my signs, because this is a minus, the two signs are going to be different, and the bigger number is going to get the middle sign over here. So that's going to be a plus, and that's going to be a minus. Now I can go and make those two factors equal to 0. So I've got, therefore, x minus 11 equals 0, or x plus 12 equals 0. Now I can go and solve for x. So therefore, x equals 11, or x equals negative 12. Okay, so now we go and see, can we reject either of these two solutions? So it says the product of two consecutive integers is 132. Now you need to know that integers are positive or negative numbers. So I'm not going to reject either of these, because I can have positive numbers and I can have negative numbers. So I'm going to have two sets of possible answers here. So now I can go and say, therefore, the numbers are if x is 11, then the number is going to be 11 and 11 plus 1, which is 12. Or if x is negative 12, then the numbers are negative 12, and negative 12 plus 1 is negative 11. So those are the possible sets of numbers that could satisfy this word problem. The numbers could either be 11 and 12, or they could be -12 and -11, and you need to give both of those in your solution. And that's what you should have got for that question. Right, let's go on to the next one. Just question D. Here you've been told the height of a triangle is 3 centimeters more than the base. If the area is 54 centimeters squared, we need to find the length of the base. I'm going to give you 3 minutes for this question as well. Okay, so let's go through that question and see what you should have got. Right, so first of all, they told us that the height of a triangle is 3 centimeters more than the base. We need to find the length of the base. So I'm going to make the length of the base x. Okay, so therefore, the height is, and then, so they told me that the height is 3 more than the base. So if the base is x, then the height will be x plus 3. Okay, once I've got that, I'm going to go and set up my equation. Now, they told me that the area is 54 centimeters squared, and we're working here with a triangle. So the area of a triangle we work out using the formula half base times height. Okay, that's our formula for the area of a triangle. So now I'm going to go and fill in what they've given me. I know that the area is 54. The base I said is x, so it's going to be half x, and then the height is x plus 3, so it's times x plus 3 in brackets. Now I'm going to go and solve for x, but first, I don't like this half x over here. I want to get rid of that half, and to do that, I'm going to multiply through the whole equation by 2 to cancel out the half, by multiplying through by that denominator. Okay, so I have to multiply each term in the equation by 2. So 54 times 2 is 108. Then when I multiply this term, this whole thing is one term. So I only multiply this once by 2, and that's going to cancel out that half over there. So it's going to be x and x plus 3. Now I don't have to worry about that fraction anymore. Okay, now I can go and carry on. So I've got x times x and x times 3 over there. So that's 108 equals x squared plus 3x. Now I'm going to move all my terms to the right because I've already got my x squared on the right and it's already positive there. So I'm not going to move the x squared. So I'm going to have 0 on the left equals x squared plus 3x and then minus 108. Okay, so now I've got a trinomial that I'm going to go and factorize. So my two sets of brackets, I've got x and x. Now I need the factors of 108. Okay, so first I've got 1 times 108, then 2 times 54, 3 times 36, 4 times 27, 6 times 18, and 9 times 12. Then I need a pair of factors that I can subtract, because that's a minus, to get 3. And the pair that I'm going to be using is the 9 and the 12, because 12 minus 9 will give me 3. Okay, so I'm going to have 9 in one bracket and 12 in the other bracket, and now I'm going to go and put in my signs. Because it's a minus, I have different signs, and the bigger number is going to get the sign of the middle term. So the 12 is going to be positive, and the 9 is going to be negative. Now I can go and make each factor equal to 0. So now I can say, therefore, x minus 9 equals 0, or x plus 12 equals 0, and now I can solve for x. So therefore, x is equal to 9, or x is equal to negative 12. Okay, so now over here, because I'm working with the length of the base of a triangle, I cannot have a negative value of x. It's not going to work, so I'm going to reject that answer, and I'm going to just use the 9. So now I can say, therefore, the base is 9, and it is centimeters long. And that's what you should have got for question D, that the base of that triangle is 9 centimeters. And that's how we solve word problems that result in quadratic equations. Now that we've learned the concepts in this lesson, it's important to practice. If you haven't already got the worksheet that goes with this video, you can find it by clicking on the link in the description below. The worksheet comes with an extra exercise full of questions for you to work on to master the concepts covered in this lesson. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button so that others can benefit from it too. Also, be sure to subscribe so that you can easily find my other lessons, and hit the bell so that you will get notified about lessons as I upload them.